Quest Software, NetApp, and Frontlines Media Group. So we're very pleased to be here today, and we welcome you to this distinguished group of people. My job is to tell you, what's going to happen, and then introduce your moderator. So what's going to happen is there'll be a panel discussion moderated by Jim Flyzik. From that will come a IT consolidation case study presented by Cindy Castle from the Department of State, and then Paul Garver, the Vice President of the Public Sector with Quest Software, will close it out. So I did my first task. I hope I did it okay. I spoke once at a big group over in Tyson's Corner, a whole bunch of government contractors, and somebody looked up and made the comment, "Is he still alive?" And I am. I'm still here. I've got a 7-page bio on Jim, so just kind of sit back, relax. Jim Flyzik is the president of the Flyzik Group. He has over 27 years in federal government. He is an avid Eagles fan and a distinguished graduate of the University of Maryland. Jim Flyzik.
Thank you. And thanks for a brief. I said I don't want to bios read. I worked 18 years at Secret Service, 7 years CIO at Treasury, and I was the technology advisor to Tom Ridge in the White House after 9/11. But my purpose here today is to moderate our discussion on IT consolidation. I've always had a huge passion for consolidation, streamlining, and helping government friends be successful. I still think I am a government person. I think I always will, but I did have the honor to head up both the Reinventing Government program and vice chair of the CIO Council, Federal CIO Council, for 4 years. And that whole time, what we were trying to do was consolidate. And actually, when we worked on the Klinger-Cohen stuff, the CIO executive order, which I helped prepare, we actually had a discussion about the CIO, the I being information, or should the I be integration? Because if you think about what CIOs do, at the headquarters level anyway, it's all about integration. So today we're here to talk about IT consolidation, and I'm very, very thrilled to have three distinguished friends and colleagues who I've known for a long, long time. Starting at my far left is Tom Wiesner. Tom is currently the deputy CIO at Labor. Prior to that, he was at TSA. Prior to that, Treasury. Prior to that, Secret Service, and prior to that, NSA. Those Secret Service and Treasury periods of time were with me. And Tom, thank you for all the service you did in helping me over the years. In the center is Ken Richard from CBP. He's the deputy CIO. Charlie, the CIO, is actually at, I believe, an acquisition review board meeting, so he's protecting his turf. You know, if you don't show up, you lose your money. But Charlie's going to join us. He's coming. He's just going to be a little late, and Ken was good enough at last minute to serve in that capacity. But I think many of you know Ken and know that he works these issues every day and knows them inside out. And right next to me here is another good friend, Paul Cosgrave, who I met when he was CIO at IRS. I was CIO at Treasury. He then went to CIO at Transportation, CIO at New York City, and now is a major player for the Center for Digital Government out of Sacramento, where he works with a lot of state and local IT issues. So, gentlemen, thanks so much for being here. Let's just kick it off, and we're going to go rapid fire here, hopefully, to make it interesting for all you folks. So, no presentations or anything. Let's start with Paul. Paul, why don't you mention a couple of the key infrastructure programs you've encountered? Let me guess, the IRS modernization might have been one of them, but
it certainly was. But I'm going to talk more about the state and local because these gentlemen here can certainly provide a lot of good federal stories for you. In New York City, which is an interesting entity in itself, New York City is the fourth largest state and local government entity. So there's only 3 states bigger than the city of New York, which is an interesting stat to start with. New York City had 55 data centers. And needless to say, with the pressures that all state and local governments are on today, it became pretty obvious that we needed to do something about that. So before I left, retired from that position at the end of last year, and started the procurement to actually do a citywide consolidation of those data centers. That project has moved along a little bit, but it's actually had a lot of difficulty with our procurement. And later we're going to talk a little bit about challenges, but I would certainly put procurement as right at the top of the list of challenges you have with these projects. That and governance are probably the two biggest things, and unions as well. Those would be the three things.
Paul, we're not on the challenges
I know,
question yet, but
I'm-
it seems to me like you're very interested in that
Well,
topic.
you know, that's a lot. Anyhow, so if you look at New York City, the three big projects were the IT consolidation, 55 data centers, get them down. We also did a major program around electronic communications for the primarily for the law enforcement parts of the city. After 9/11, a lot of pressure came on about trying to improve communications between the agencies, and I can go into that in a lot. That's been a fairly successful project. And then the third, and the one that's probably most unique anywhere in the country, is we have our own wireless network, fourth generation wireless network that's been put in place, 400 cell sites throughout the city, and we've been able to obviously do a lot in using that infrastructure base.
Cool. I'm going to try to come back if we can, depending on time, to hear a little bit more about, especially that wireless thing, which since I take credit for inventing wireless, and you know, I like to. Ken, what are some of the key consolidation efforts you've got going at Customs and Border Protection?
We have a number of efforts ongoing right now. One of those is text modernization. Text is one of the oldest systems in the government. It's 41 years old. Last time it was modernized was 22 years ago. So it's,
By the way, can I just ask you a quick question? When I was at Treasury, it was the Treasury Enforcement Communication System. Have you changed the T yet to mean something other than Treasury?
several times.
Okay.
So it was the Traveler Enforcement Communication System. Then became the Traveler Enforcement Compliance System.
There you
now
go.
It's just referred to as text.
Okay.
No explanation, just text.
Yeah, but that's a big one.
That's a big one, about $340 million to do that and get off the mainframes in operation.
Cool.
We're doing our automated targeting system, ATS, one of the larger targeting systems, about 90 billion records in it. Doing a technology refresh, and we're hosting that on the new appliance capabilities. We're finishing up the transition with ACE in terms of the commercial environments, finishing those activities. We're working on doing a new modernization on the land mobile radios and broadband capabilities for wireless pieces. And then we're doing a larger infrastructure modernization. We've got about 5,000 servers, 4 mainframes, and about 5,000 network devices that need to be replaced and modernized.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that because I know Paul already brought up the budget pressures, and the budget pressures are not going to go away for the next several years. So the only way to move forward is going to be find ways to reduce cost of that aging O&M and infrastructure. Tom, how about Department of Labor?
Well, as everyone knows, or I know, the Department of Labor is very poor. You know, I mean, $340 million. New York City's got a bigger budget. So, you know, optimization, consolidation is we view it as a way of survival. Our budgets, IT budgets, are very flat. So many years ago, we started on that initiative, and about a year and a half ago, we consolidated our 9 wide area networks into one departmental wide area network. Very successful on that. Money saving, sets the stage for a lot of other opportunities. Then, you know, the administration changed, and I met my new DepSec, and, you know, shortly after we had a number of meetings, and he said he wanted to modernize the Department of Labor, IT modernization of the Department of Labor. When he said that, he wasn't sure what he meant, but he says, you go figure it out and let me know. And so we've been doing that, and now he knows what he'd like to do, and so we have a very aggressive infrastructure modernization effort just kicking off. Obviously, we're doing data center consolidation. We're taking that very aggressively. I have 89 data centers around the country, believe it or not, Department of Labor. Many of them are not even Tier 1 class. I have 7 data centers in my headquarters building, 2 blocks from the Capitol building. So we have a strategy to consolidate data centers in the DC area, another strategy across the field. We're obviously doing trusted internet connection and reducing our internet presence from 18 points of presence down to 2. And then we're going to look at the rest of our infrastructure across 9 infrastructures in the Department of Labor. I got 9 email systems. I got firewalls, internal firewalls between those infrastructures. The current folks can't share information. Collaboration is very difficult. Communication, sharing of documents, very difficult. And the current administration wants to change that all around. Not driven so much from IT infrastructure and cost savings, et cetera, that us IT geeks all know about, but really from a business standpoint. So he wants to change it from a business transformation standpoint and customer service. So he's very big on enabling the public to come into the Department of Labor in any way possible and get the information you need from any agency within the department as efficiently and effectively as possible. And that's this high-level vision, very difficult to implement, obviously, but the infrastructure plays a big role in doing that.
Cool. Does sound, well, the good news is you have the backing of the front office to get the modernization done. So, and you know, when you work for me, you always wanted more money too. And I used to say, if you have no money, then that means you need to be creative and innovative, you know, it forces innovation. Anyway, let's just shift now and get to some of the subjects that are of interest to the crowd here. Virtualization, cloud computing, social networking. I mean, those terms are all over the place and everyone's talking about them. Are those kinds of things, as you're looking at modernizing, optimizing, consolidating, are those kinds of things working their way into your infrastructure? Are you doing virtualization and cloud and so forth? Let's start this time with Ken. Ken, all of the above, none of the above, some of the above?
All of the above. We've already virtualized 1,470 of the Windows servers. We've virtualized a number of the Solaris and the Unix servers using the containers featuring capabilities. We'll be doing more virtualization as we do consolidation of the infrastructure. And some of the cloud technologies moving forward. We're going forward with the Oracle Exalogic in terms of cloud-in-the-box capabilities and features. We're not going to be going to a public cloud, but we'll be using the cloud technology in terms of doing a good private cloud.
Okay. Yeah, cloud's interesting to me because I was thinking when, because I have a monthly radio show here and we've done a bunch of them on cloud computing, and I go back to those days of time sharing. Remember those days of time sharing where we didn't want to use our own resources, so we would rent time from somewhere else? Yeah, why does it seem so similar to me to come back to this cloud thing? Tom, how about you? Virtualization, cloud computing, so anything social networking?
Well, we're obviously doing virtualization. Agencies are within the department are either just into it about 6-7 months, and some of them have been doing it for a number of years, and maybe 80% complete within their data center. So virtualization falls right in line with where we're going. On cloud computing, I think we're nervous like a lot of federal agencies, records management, security, privacy.
Right.
I'm very much interested in private clouds. I don't see the government going to a public cloud and seeing all those requirements being met. So I wish someone would just start the ball rolling for poor agencies like labor that can't do their own cloud internally to partner with other federal agencies to then we all have the same requirements to meet in terms of those federal regulations.
Yeah, that's a good point. That DISA-DOD model comes to mind.
And then social media, we use it obviously at the secretarial level for public affairs, Twitter accounts, Facebook.
Right.
The Dept secretary was very big on OpenGov, still is. It's just been a challenge because it's really kind of like out of the box. We're looking at potentially using some wikis for some business applications and sharing them with professors and doctorates in various safety and health areas as it pertains to maybe chemicals and those types of things, and develop a wiki to start developing some regs. But preliminary stages for that.
Paul, how about New York City and your other experiences? I do remember doing data center consolidation with you when you were at IRS and I was at Treasury, and we actually pulled it off.
Yeah, the IRS was very successful in getting down from 13 data centers when I got there to leaving them with 3. Right. I think they may be down to 2 now. Actually.
Well, it's actually an interesting story because we actually had IBM and Unisys, who were the two major presence inside the data centers. They actually formed a team and worked together, and I thought that was an interesting model back then, where they were fierce competitors. Yet the good news, we had Rosati telling them if they didn't do it, they were out of there, so that helped too. But anyway, Paul, sorry.
Well, New York City sounds very similar to your experience. We've been at virtualization for, I was there for 4 years, so it's been at least 4 years.